Welcome back to the Junius Maltby channel. Today's video that was done earlier really stirred up quite a bit of emotion and controversy, I guess you could say, from both sides of the spectrum. It was interesting to see that there were those that were on one side that are entrenched, steadfast, die-hard metal enthusiasts, which if I was to swing which one way or the other, that is the side I am mostly swung over to. But there, like we've talked about in the past, there doesn't have to be sides with this. And on the other side of the spectrum, there were the what I've recently come to term cryptophiles, those who love the cryptocurrency, and that's all they see. To them, that is the beacon of hope in the future. The video was literally attacked almost by both sides. There were some, not everyone, but there were some that saw it for what it was and what it was the intended purpose of it. And then there were the ones that came at it from the crypto side and attacked any form of metal investment, or saying that any metal that was not in crypto up until this point was a waste of wealth and potential earnings. There were the metal side attacked it, saying that there shouldn't be any credibility given to crypto whatsoever. It's the money of Satan, it's the end of the world, it's the mark of the beast, and so on. So you can see that, I mean, there was, if you go to the last video, and you'll see just a tremendous amount of, whatever you want to call it, angst, right? A lot of you were really polite, others kind of attacked me for recently dabbling in crypto, and by dabbling, I'm not even dipping my toes in, I would say I've put my toenails in. Having $100, $150 exposed to gamble with in crypto is nothing. I can afford to lose $100 or $150. Believe me, it can go away, it can disappear. If it went away tomorrow, I wouldn't even blink. I would use it as an opportunity to express all of my skepticism and critiques on crypto and why I have not liked it up until this point. And like I've said, I'm still a huge critic. I've got a lot of skepticism still for the cryptocurrency world. And I went into some of the comments, and I try to keep up with comments. It's hard sometimes when they're really pouring in, and it's I guess a real controversial video. There were some, however, who I considered to be, really good advocates and parts of the precious metal community on here, some newcomers. One of them in particular, I'm not even going to mention him and give him credibility, but he used just some profane and foul language, make false accusations, all because I've opened up wallets to receive cryptocurrency, which if any of you have been part of the channel for a time, you knew back when we first funded the last dies for the last coin, they were like $3,000, it was very difficult to find a way to get that money transferred to an account and then to the mint to have them struck. And recently it was discovered that, after a lot of you suggested it, crypto wallets would be the way to do that. And if you know, and this is something that I'm learning, one of the reasons I ventured down the crypto path was to be more informed, to understand how they worked, to be able to understand what the utility of these cryptocurrencies are, how do they function, how do you move them, how do you convert them back into fiat dollars, which is what we have to transact with most of the time. And so that's really what spawned my exploration into cryptocurrency, was the urging by you guys in the community saying, hey, try it out. A couple of you whom I appreciate, and I'll leave you anonymous, but you guys actually sent me .000, like $8. It turned out to be $8 back then, and it turned into be more than that at the time I was able to unlock and transfer it. So it's been a learning process for myself. And I learned that I had to have multiple wallets in order to receive certain different currencies. Like one thing I learned, for example, you cannot send Ethereum to a Bitcoin wallet. You have to send Bitcoin to Bitcoin wallets, and Ethereum to Ethereum wallets, and Litecoin to Litecoin wallets, and so on. Ripple to a Ripple wallet with a tag. And so I've been learning how to do this. And I think it's, in order to have an informed opinion, in order to have an opinion on certain issues or topics, like related to cryptocurrency, for example, you have to explore it somewhat. You have to read about it. And when I say read about it, I mean I've been reading about it since before 2013, before I even had a YouTube channel. I remember sitting at a computer with a friend discussing Bitcoin when it first hit the news, and we debated the premise of how it would function and everything about it. And there was some excitement even back then on my part, just based on the challenge it was to the Fed. You know, I've been arguing against, and I've been a thorn in the side. Well, they never knew I was there. They still don't, most likely. But I've been an anti-Federal Reserve, anti-central banking individual for a very long time. If you've been part of this channel, you knew that the one bill I tried to write in social studies in the 7th grade was a sound money bill, and it didn't even get out of committee. But that was, you know, that gives you an idea of how long I've been at this, how long I've been stacking metal. If any of you have, you know, read my bio, you know that that's basically since as long as I've been alive, since I could hold a coin pretty much. Now, you know, you've got these people that came on, and there were some negative comments, and it's kind of upsetting to read some people that make false accusations, have false assumptions. And certain people, you know, I take in a person's opinion with weight, and the weight is based on what I would say the currency of their character and integrity is, and the weight of them as a person, in my opinion or esteem of them. There's certain people that I would give such a high degree of respect to that if they said certain things to me, it would hurt more so than if I was walking down the street and some heroin addict in the gutter looked up at me and called me a foul word. I would brush that off. That wouldn't bother me as much. So there is a spectrum there, I guess you could say, a currency of opinion, a weight of it. Some people, their opinion is worth a penny to me. Other people, their opinion is worth a solid gold eagle. Their opinion has weight, value. There were some people in the comments and their opinions that I give a higher degree of currency to others. They're more weighted. And I want to read to you, I'll read to you the Rocket Radio show, because we discussed some things and went back and forth in just some comments. But he had some good things to say, and I've got some respect for this individual. He leaves, you know, pretty valid comments, and he asked that I would read my reply. So I won't read his whole thing. I'll just read the reply. So I said, "Thank you for the kind, polite comment and expressing your view. Thank you also for being a long-time sub. I am not a Luddite, and I am not scared. I know what gold is and the history. Yes, we did miss a tremendous speculative opportunity with crypto. If you have seen the videos this past month, I admitted I ate crow on cryptos. Crypto will be here and have a role in the movement of money, that is for sure. There is no reason one cannot own both. Holding cryptos as a form of diversity away from fiat is not something I am against, not at all. I do not shill metals. I can care less if you own them or believe me. Cryptocurrency is opening itself up for tremendous manipulations by powers beyond the little guy. Look at the civil war breaking out between Bitcoin Legacy and Bitcoin Cash. Money is being tugged back and forth with pump and dumps happening frequently now. 47% price swings in mere days? How can people call that stable and trustworthy? How can anyone expect a little old retiree to put their money into something as volatile? Crypto is being traded at light speed. While people sleep, it either goes sky high or crashes. There will be a stable crypto at some point, and it will not be Bitcoin. I hold mostly Ripple right now, with a fraction of Bitcoin being held. I am not against crypto. I just disagree that it is the economic messiah so many claim." Again, that was my reply to the Rocket Radio show, who asked me in the comments if I would read that on a video, and so I did. Here it is. It's in the video. We've all heard that hindsight's 20/20, and nobody knows the future. Nobody. We can try to pretend we do. We can make our best guess based on information at present, but we don't know where things are going exactly. I've made my fair share of financial and economic missteps. I've got a friend who informed me in day trading he lost $25,000 in mere days. And that is how he got out of day trading and no longer even risks gambling with it. He's in crypto, but he buys and holds. He does not flip or trade or move them around. He just buys and holds a couple of them. And, $25,000 is a significant sum of money back just in the last 10 years or so. I myself, I pulled out of the stock market during the economic crisis right before, saving myself from a tremendous amount of loss. However, I didn't go back in at all. I stayed in precious metals, and I could have made significant gains had I repositioned or took up certain positions, even allocated a fraction of my metals into the stock markets. There was a lot of gains I missed out on there. I could have even invested in real estate and made gains there as well. Now, cryptocurrency is most likely the one financial misstep, misallocation, lack of participation on my part, where I could have made the most amount of wealth to this point if I were to exit at the right time, of course. I mean, who knows? What if I exited at 300 or 500 out of Bitcoin? But let's just say, for the sake of argument, I had purchased even $10, just $10 worth of Bitcoin back in 2009. It is something like $2.8 million to the dollar you would have invested now. That $10, approximately 1 ounce of silver, would now equal roughly $28 million. Now, who could argue that that would have been a bad idea? Of course, hindsight's 20/20, right? I most likely would have sold it far before that. Now, I didn't have the skill set or the expertise in how to execute a Bitcoin transaction back then. I probably should have spent some time learning how to do it. However, I was dying on a sword of ideology against it at times. And there was, again, I was split from the beginning. If you go back and watch the earliest videos where I mentioned it, I was always a cheerleader for it in the fact that it was something the elite, or so I thought the elite, the central bankers anyway, were appearing to be against. I viewed it as a challenge to them, a challenge to the system, and therefore I applauded it. Over time, I grew to be skeptical about it, thinking that it was in a bubble state, thinking that it was a way to steal money from people, which I think there is still a possibility that could be, there's a likelihood, there could be things with it we don't see. There could be unseen forces at work. Again, I don't know all that there is to know about it. I know there's a lot of different cryptocurrencies. It seems like a new one's popping up every day. And in that way, you could say there's cryptocurrency inflation. Every day there's new ones popping up, money bouncing back and forth between all of them. And then you see these forks, hard forks with Bitcoin where it multiplies. So is it indeed a fixed supply, a fixed number of 21 million units, as it was argued that it would be? Anyways, back to the topic at hand here. Yeah, I was mistaken in not purchasing some crypto back then. I probably should have. Do I absolutely regret it and frown upon myself and lose sleep at night over it? No, I don't. Does this have to be a black and white, good versus evil situation? No. And I think anyone who's entrenched in that way of thinking needs to reevaluate what it is and why they believe it. Now, most of us here despise Federal Reserve notes. We despise the Legal Tender Act. We despised unbacked currency, the fact that Nixon closed the gold window in 1971, the fact that FDR confiscated gold in 1933. We hate the manipulation that the Federal Reserve has placed upon precious metals and Wall Street's precious metals manipulations, and how we're caught in the middle as serfs, as peasants here, working on the streets, doing our jobs, trying to save money, as the elite use inflation to rob us of our wealth. We all agree that that is a common enemy. Now, if there is another exit, and it happens to be cryptocurrency, and I'm not saying it is, but if there is another fire exit from the house of inflation, and it serves as an ability to possibly go through that doorway, and then find yourself on the other side with precious metals or move into them, or have multiple exits for your wealth, why not do so? And I'm not saying they're the same, because they're entirely different animals. Precious metals and crypto are different. And as one person pointed out, it's sort of unfair to compare the two. There's not really a reason to compare the two. I think the reason we compare them is because so many like-minded people find themselves grappling with or wrestling with the idea of one or the other when it doesn't have to be there. There doesn't have to be an argument against one and for the other. And I think the more rational ones of us can find sort of a middle ground. You can have precious metals and a little bit of crypto, and it's not going to kill anybody. It's not going to hurt you. Big Brother's not going to come kick your door down and shoot you in the face because you own 100 or 1,000 Ripple coins. No, that's tinfoil hat realm type stuff. And if anyone out there believes that it's up to us to fight for financial freedom and sound money, I'm one of them. Now, I hold by my critiques and my very early critiques on why I don't see some of these cryptocurrencies and the way it functions as taking off and going mainstream. And I'll raise those points up time and time again. And the way I'm able to bring those points up is because I've exposed myself to them. Rather than just having an opinion completely unbacked by any experience whatsoever, other than what I've read or been told by others, I can actually base my opinion on cryptocurrencies on now personal experience, which is why I ventured into them, to learn about it and have a more informed position. And I can tell you, I hold by my earlier opinions that cryptocurrency will not go mainstream until it makes itself much more simple. It is far too complex for the average person. It is far too complex for the older retirees or anyone earlier than a Gen Xer. It's just the way it is. I mean, I went through the sign-up process for Coinbase, for Bittrex, having to use different devices in order to get Google Authenticator, and learning how to type in different codes and keychains, how to transfer and to move units from one account to another, how they fluctuate, how the trading works. And I still don't fully grasp the whole blockchain thing and the hash and this and that. There's a lot of different terminologies out there, and a lot of it to me is just nerd speak. So I understand and sympathize with the frustrations of a lot of the people, I guess, in the older crowd, because I kind of find myself more in the middle. I'm kind of wedged between the millennials and the pre-Gen Xers. So it's kind of a rock and a hard place. I've got people on one side of me that are the earlier crowd, the older crowd. They're, foaming and seething with frustration and anger at this new paradigm, this new world, this new dawn of the cryptocurrency. And then on the other side, the scoffing and the looking down of the nose at us who don't understand it as much by the younger crowd, the hipper crowd that gets it, that understands crypto. And like I said earlier, whether we like it or not, crypto's here to stay. I hate fiat currency, but guess what? It's here to stay. Every day I get paid in fiat. You get paid in fiat. We transact in fiat. If I go to a grocery store, I have to give them fiat. Half the time I don't even give them that. I just give them digits swiped with a magnetic strip tied to a card, and then it gets moved out of an account. So we're already in a digital transferring of units of account, units of exchange. It's just a matter of what they are. Now, what's the difference if in my bank account is 1,000 USD or 1,000 XRP? Does it really matter what I'm transferring when in the end all I'm trying to do is exchange that of which I've worked for, units of account, which I would say are units or measurements of time, my time. You're buying, when you work, it's your time and expertise, your knowledge, your skills someone is paying you for. I'm exchanging that knowledge, those skills, the work that I've done with my hands, whatever it is, for units of exchange, mediums of exchange, units of account, whatever you want to call them, money, moneta, and that's being transferred into milk and eggs. That's it. I often joke that I'm just a medium in which money passes through. I don't get to hold very much of it. It just goes through me to other people. It goes to whoever owns the title on, let's say, a car. Thankfully, my truck is now paid for. Took a couple of years, but it's there. It's done now. That's why you buy used vehicles. Lesson number one, never buy a brand new vehicle, right? But money passes through me to other people. You know, I got to buy food. I got to pay my taxes, my property taxes, pay this, pay that. Ultimately, it's just money. It's just units. And I think we're getting a little too carried away with what the units are and distracted. We had a great idea today, me and a friend talking about this. What if, there was a huge vault? I mean, in a hypothetical economic utopia here in the U.S., we were talking about that Texas bullion vault. What if there was a giant vault, impervious to assault, and within it were all the gold and silver you could imagine here in the United States, and there was a cryptocurrency backed and based on that. And at any time, it was audited thoroughly and it was a one-to-one backing. At any time, you could exchange it for physical receipt. You could exchange your whatever the crypto is, and they would mail you or ship you or whatever. You could drive there in your own car and pick it up, the physical metal yourself. I think that would be a good marriage or blend of the two. And of course, there's people that have economic arguments on why that wouldn't work or whatever. I tend to believe that it would and it could work. However, regardless of what you and I believe is right for the world economy, for how money changes hands, how it's moved, how trillions of dollars wrap themselves around the planet, and how they go from one bank to another, one nation to another, it's not a decision you or I are going to be able to make. And our effect, whatever we even choose to exchange with or not, will have no implications on the global economy, ultimately. If I buy $5 worth of a particular crypto, it doesn't move anything. It doesn't shake up or change the scale. Billions of dollars of it are already being purchased by large banking institutions. And that's one of the points I've tried to make to some friends is they're in the game now. They're talking about ETFs. They're talking about futures markets. The incipient stage of crypto is gone. And now the big boys have showed up and they want to play the game too. And it's going to happen. There's going to be manipulations now. We're going to see the pump and dump that's already taking place between others. And it's going to shake up a little bit. And it's going to be interesting to see where the pieces fall, how they fall, and who survives this. I mean, how many currencies are out there right now? How many cryptos? I don't even know. Let's say 1,000, 500, 800. At the end of the day, several years from now, there might be 5 or 10, right? Who knows? It's an ever-expanding technology. People are improving on it. I don't know where it's going to end up. I know precious metals will be here forever. And I also know that cryptocurrency is most likely going to be here for as long as the lights are on. And I don't see the lights going out anytime soon. I know that SWIFT and Western Union and shipping money, or I guess transferring money overseas, has been around for ages. Wiring money through banks has been around for ages. Cryptocurrency is going to be here. I don't believe in fiat. I don't believe in unbacked money at all. I'm forced to transact with fiat dollars on a regular basis. That doesn't make me an evil or a horrible person. I have to. As a matter of fact, if I refuse it, I can go to jail for it. Legal tender law. Hepburn versus Griswold, Supreme Court. Look that case up. There's a lot of theories out there. A lot of people who believe certain things are going to happen and certain things that should happen. You know what? At the end of the day, none of us really know exactly what's going to happen. We're all very much powerless in our effect on what's going to happen. Don't get too tied up in all of this. It's not black and white. It's not good versus evil yet. Yes, there are problems and flaws that I see with cryptocurrency, that you see with cryptocurrency, and there are, I guess you could say, problems and flaws with precious metals that some people see. Holding them, having to transfer them. I actually did a video years ago on some of the problems associated with precious metals. If they get stolen and all of your wealth is gone, things like that being misplaced. That's not the subject or the purpose of this video, however, but there are problems with anything. I appreciate the patience and the kind comments from all of you out there. Those of you who have stood by this channel and bared with me through my stumbling over my introduction and initiations into a new technology, trying to learn it, trying to learn more about it, to be able to relay information to other subscribers on the channel that might not be as informed as you are or myself. I don't pretend to be an expert on it whatsoever. And if there's judgment coming from some people on holding a little bit of it, well, maybe you should pull the plank out of your own eye before you point out the splinter in others, because we could all find problems and hypocrisies and things with other people. There's a lot of things that we all do that might have problems associated with it. Big deal. Ultimately, I think we're all on the same team here. We all want to see the current establishment, the current monopoly on the issuance of currency, the ability of the statists to inflate and destroy and erode currency, robbing from people who have savings. We want to see that go away. And whatever the solution is, whatever the combination of solutions are that can get us there, let's do it. Let's execute it. I think metals are the answer. I think they're a major part of the answer. Will cryptos have a role in that? Is there a marriage or a blend of the two that might come up in the future? Who knows? Just don't be so entrenched in what you believe that you find yourself left behind or a casualty on an ideological battlefield. Thanks for being part of the Junius Maltby channel. I appreciate everyone who's part of this channel and contributes. Keep it clean in the comments. If you use foul language and start spewing out ignorant rants, full of F-bombs and such, I'm going to delete your comment. It's just going to happen. So be calm. Calm is contagious. Be cool. Be collected. And thanks for being here. Take care. Have a good night.